Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Financially and Sexually Available. Financially and Sexually Available. In the dating world, there are those things that people will make themselves available for. They will make themselves available for sex. They will make themselves available for giving as well as receiving money. They will make themselves available for spending a little time at the movie theater, at the park, at the bar, at the club. But when it comes to making themselves mentally, spiritually available, oh no, that's off limits. I'm speaking to a few today. I'm speaking to those that are in as well as out of relationships. I'm speaking to those who have friends with benefits. One is emotionally available when he or she is sincerely seeking a serious connection, a commitment. When one is looking at the precepts, the concepts, the moral responsibility of a relationship, he or she is going to do the types of things that not only tells his or her partner, I am emotionally available. I am with you. I want to build something with you. But that person will also be a doer. They will stand by his or her word. But that one who is not emotionally available is not interested in how you feel. Not mentally. Physically, yes. Let me touch you. Let me hold you. Let me kiss you. But I am not interested in anything more than that. That one who is financially available, he or she is going to make sure that your material needs are met. Here's $20 for this, $50 for that, $100 and some odd dollars for this, $1,000 for that. But don't hold me to anything more than that. Is that the type of relationship that God has called any of us to? Where someone is just going to give you just enough sexually. Let's go there. You can show up, you can take your clothes off, you can do the deed, and then you can go home. Don't stay though. Or you could be living with that person. Show up in the room, do the deed, and that's it. There is no connection because I've set it up that way. I can't trust you with my feelings. I can't trust that this relationship is even going to work out because, well, my mind is elsewhere. And for some people, they're always looking to see if the grass is greener on the other side. The issue isn't about the person that you're with for some individuals, whether you're in a friendship, a committed partnership, or a marriage. The issue for some of you all is that you are not emotionally, spiritually, mentally available. And not only that, you are considering on cutting off the finance as well as the sex. And some people have already done the sex part. It's just the finance part that they're working on. Because, well, we got kids, we got, a house, we have mutual assets, and some of you all, the rest. So as this cutting away is taking place, though, for some individuals, the cutting away is for all the wrong reasons. It's not for righteous reasons. It's for wrong reasons. They're cutting away simply because they don't want to do it any longer. And, well, there's some grass that's greener on the other side. There's some benefits that this one can give me that the other one can't. There's some things about this person that I really enjoy. And so I'm going to be emotionally available for this one, but not for this one. I feel safe with this person, but I don't feel so safe with this one because there's a long history of being burned, you see. This is the mindset for some individuals. And if you are that one that's in the dark, and if you are that one that, well, I've cut off this, that, and the other, you may be so focused on what you've done that you don't see what's going on with the other person. They too have cut you off. That's why the relationship has the arguments and the I want to be out of this and I can't stand this person and all of that, because 9 times out of 10, somebody in a relationship checked out a long time ago, was emotionally unavailable a long time ago, may have never been emotionally available. And it was all a facade. It was just going through the motions, because that's what happens with dating, right? You go through a period of impressing an individual, and then as you get to know that person, you start to give a little, and then if you don't like what is not coming back in return, then you stop giving, and then eventually you shut down and you tell yourself that this person is just like everybody else, okay, or whatever else you come up with to pretty much mark that person as somebody who you don't want to be emotionally, financially, sexually, or whatever attached to or connected to. Am I getting through this to some people? Because I know that there's those individuals that secretly you don't want people to know what's really going on with you, because you have this long history of not being emotionally, spiritually, and or financially, sexually available to people. That's the big secret. Okay, but we're going to expose it, because when you listen to messages like this, we shine a light on the dark areas of people's lives. And this is one that repeatedly happens. And for some people, they never learn. They're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus years old, and they still don't wrap their head around the fact that you wasn't emotionally available in your youth to your boyfriend or girlfriend in high school. You wasn't emotionally available to the next boyfriend or girlfriend in your 20s. You wasn't emotionally available. And some of you, all right, you can see that. This is why relationship is not good for you. Instead, you need to be emotionally available for yourself, first and foremost, and to the one true God. Now, how do we get there? Because we're going to get into the spiritual realm of things, okay, and look beyond the world and what the world says and what Hollywood says and what mama and daddy and whoever else said who their relationship is and all that anyway. And somebody 9 times out of 10 that you watched growing up wasn't emotionally, financially, sexually, spiritually, and whatever else available to those individuals or the individual around them, okay? Spiritually, if I am cutting myself off from the one true God, I don't want anything to do with a connection to God and his people. I don't want to listen to sound wisdom. I want to fight up against anything and everything that checks me. Then yes, I am being emotionally unavailable to the spiritual. Therefore, I don't grow spiritually. I am stagnant. I can't do the types of things that God would want me to do, like answer the desires of my heart, because I've cut off the spiritual side of who I am. So if I've done that, then I've also cut off love. I'm just going to get straight to the point. 1 Corinthians 13. I've cut off love. God is love. So if I cut off God, then I'm cutting off what he created, which is love. And then when I cut off love, I'm not able to connect with people in a loving way. It might be sexual, it might be financial, but it's definitely not going to be that love that emanates from one's being. Matter of fact, some people don't even know love. So this part of the message goes over their head. Love is patient. Love is kind, right? Love doesn't keep record of wrongs. Go to your Bible, check it out. 1 Corinthians 13. So I don't have it in me to love and don't want to learn how to love. Some people have made up in their minds, nope, that's not what I want to do because it hurts, because of my past, because of whatever. Stop with all of the reasons. The point is that you just don't want to do it. So, you know, it might require work. It might require giving of oneself, right? Not even might. It does require work. What am I talking about, right? I mean, there is some degree of work that's involved in being emotionally available to someone. And a lot of people who I have just chalked it up to, nope, I'm not going to do it. They are not emotionally available, but yet they do want to have sex, and yet they do want to have finances, being given to them, as well as, possibly giving to someone else. That's okay. That's all right for them. But then what about the person, though, who starts to attach his or herself to the individual? You know what they do? That's when they put the stop sign up and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to give to you, because the agreement was that this is what the relationship is based on, which is usually their own personal preferences. And if you go along with it, you're good. If you don't, then they know how to push you away. Okay. And this has happened to some of you all. That's why you go through that grief process every time you get ready to start a courtship with someone. You go through some type of emotional turmoil, like, is this person right? Is this person somebody who I feel safe with, who I can trust? Is this somebody who I know is going to be emotionally available? Because the last one wasn't. I mean, I understand that when you've gone through so much with people who have not been emotionally, spiritually, sexually available, financially available, you tend to have your guard up with the next person. Now, some people, they will cut off the finances, but they're okay with everything else. And those are the folks that get labeled stingy. They get labeled cheap. They get labeled, selfish, because they are okay with anything that doesn't cost them. Oh, you're going to cost me some money? No. And so you're on your own in a relationship that is supposed to be about togetherness, right? And working together and unifying and building something together. No, if you want something, you're going to have that job. You're going to have maybe 2 jobs plus a side hustle to get certain things done, because that person has financially cut you off or never was financially available to you. You were going Dutch during the dating phase and then found yourself still going Dutch once you got married. I'm telling somebody's business. Okay. And that too hurts, because you look at other people, which really you shouldn't look at other people, because they got their other issues that you just don't know about yet. Okay. But you look at other people and you say, wait a minute, this isn't a relationship. This is more like I don't know what this is, because we're not working together, because that person set it up that way. And you finally caught up with what they were doing. And now you're like, this isn't what I want. And it's okay to feel that way. It's absolutely okay to feel that way. That's when you take those burdens over to the one true God. You also talk to counselors. You also get, enough in your spirit about what your situation is so that you can make a conscientious decision on whether or not you want to stay in that. Some people are okay with it. Some people are like, well, as long as there's love, as long as there's, sex, as long as there's this emotional connectedness, I'm good with it. So what about the money? So what about the shared assets? So what about building a business together? So what about a savings account together? You see, everybody's different. Okay. No one's judging anybody in this message. If you feel that there are certain things that you can tolerate in a relationship, then by all means, there are just those around you that wouldn't put up with certain things. Okay. And we have those. And some people cut off the sex because of health ailments. Other people cut off the sex due to spite. Okay. And so when you've determined, one or the other, whatever the reason is, once again, you have to be the one to make the conscientious decision whether or not you want to remain in a relationship like that. Because I will tell you, when people cut off sex, especially if there's been no conversation about that sort of thing, that is when folks will stray. Listen, you're not giving me, I will find my needs met from someone else. Okay. You don't want it to happen, but it will happen if you play those little games with people. The spite game I'm talking about. Health ailments, you should be talking about that. And then the person can be able to come up with you and the individual could be able to come up with some creative ways as to getting one another's needs met if you don't want to break up, right? Practical advice, very simple, something worth considering if you are that one. If you know you cannot forgive someone and you've cut them off sexually, they should not feel obligated to stay in a relationship with you, and vice versa. I can't forgive you, and so therefore I'm not having sex with you. Okay, you know what? I have needs. A lot of folks are still very young, right? Everything's not broken down. I got to go. And they have every right to do so. I know it hurts. I know you want them to feel the pain and all that other stuff that they've caused you. But at the end of the day, those, especially the individuals who cheat, that doesn't mean anything to them. Okay, because it's about self. They love themselves more than they will ever love anyone else. So they move on. They find somebody else to meet their needs. And that is that, while you are still crying and upset and ready to knock them upside the head for yet another thing that they've done that is emotionally and or physically taxing on your mind related to cheating. Okay. So there's a lot of reasons as to why these different areas in one's relationship gets cut off: the finances, the sex, the emotion, just everything is just not where it should be. And when this sort of thing happens, once again, the Christian will give these issues over to the one true God. The individual will study his or her word and find the scriptures related to what he or she is going through. The Christian will also be in prayer, as well as have others pray for him or her. The believer will go to the church, be around like-minded individuals, and just keep at this thing of wanting to be free from someone who is not giving his or her all. This is what the believer does. Okay. Now, the unbeliever or worldly believer or backslider type, what they will do is they will look for different ways to numb the pain. So there's the drinking that shows up. There's the drugs. There's the sexual immorality that shows up. The relationship is not where it should be. Therefore, I will find some other way to comfort myself. They will go off and eat much. And this is why you will see somebody go from a size 6 to a size 16 in a relationship. This doesn't mean that it's okay and all right. By no means. None of this stuff is healthy. You got the individual that may have once had 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. Now she's a chain smoker, or he's a chain smoker because of what is taking place. There's this cutting away that's going on in the relationship. Other ways people deal with issues is they will just simply sit down with the attorney. I am not going to put up with this any longer. I need a cutting away, a cutting off. They will go to counselors, marital counselors, spiritual counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, depending on the effects of the relationship. If it's an abusive relationship, this is where the counseling is more intense and it's long term. Okay. Not only that, some folks might be in the hospital getting some bruises bandaged up. This is how deep this thing goes, because somebody has systematically done some things emotionally to cause someone to snap. Okay. Or it could be that the individual is already mentally unstable, gets involved in a relationship, realizes it's just too much. And so like a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, he or she chooses to hit. Okay. When things don't, add up to what he or she wants. I'm going to hit, I'm going to punch, I'm going to kick, I'm going to spit on, I'm going to call names. Okay. Pretty much an adult child acting out because he or she does not have his or her emotions in check. Okay. So with all of this going on, one is just going through the motions with someone. It is a routine, possibly. It is something that's not beneficial spiritually or mentally, maybe sexually, maybe financially, but then gradually that falls away and now there's nothing. Okay. This is the early stages of a breakup. That breakup may last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 plus years. I've had people come through the network and say things like it took 30 some years to finally be away from this individual. Okay. Because emotions, they take a while to detach when you're the one who is emotionally available, when you are the one that's been driving that relationship for so long, when you are the one that's not willing to give up. It takes a while to distance oneself and then eventually break up for good. You will have the makeup to break up, the merry-go-round, the roller coaster, whatever you call it, for a season before you finally made up in your mind that I'm cutting all things off. Finances, sex, emotions, mental, spiritual, you name it. No more going to church together. That's a spiritual connection. I'm talking to somebody. No more mentally connecting with one another. Business, that tends to happen. Household responsibilities. Checking in with a person. Now you want to check out. Okay. Sex, no more. Other affections outside of sex, no more. Okay. Some of you all, you've witnessed this sort of thing. Like I said, for some folks, they checked out of the relationship a long time ago, and it's just one of those things where you're just now being updated on what's been taking place. The person may not have ever sat down and verbalized that he or she has been checking out, but you are now putting the pieces together and you're saying that's why he's not coming to the family events like he used to. This is why she's not giving me sex. This is why he's not coming around talking to me. This is why we're not going places like we used to, because somebody's been checking out. I know it is one of those wake-up calls that hurts immensely. I mean, tears roll, stomach churns. You don't know what you're going to do. Anxiety levels are raised. Some people will question, is God even putting me through this? If you want to be free of something that is not giving you all that it should give you, yes, you're going to go through a process that's going to look a lot. It's going to look negative. It's going to make you feel negative inside. But I tell you what, on the other side, there is some positivity once you know that this is it. It's over. I have a path. I have a journey. God is in the plan. I'm not going to grieve this thing any longer. My life goes on. There's a plan and a purpose and a calling for my life. When you're having those self-talk conversations and you're picking yourself up by the bootstraps and you're no longer groveling and crying over this thing and arguing and being distant and spiteful, there is freedom. There is definitely freedom. I've been there. I've done it. I've seen a movie. That's why I can, create a message like this. And thank you, Lord Jesus, for the release, because as you are setting yourself up for the breakup, you realize a lot about yourself. You realize that there are things that you're not going to tolerate. You realize that you do need to establish boundaries. You realize that you should have never left God or put God on the back burner during that courtship, because had you put God front and center, you would have never made the mistakes that you made. You see, there's a lot of self-analysis that takes place when you are gradually distancing yourself and then eventually breaking up for good from someone. For some people, it takes as many as 7 breakups for them to finally say enough is enough. Okay. But as long as you're headed toward that path of disconnecting for good, it doesn't matter how many times, just so long as you get out of it. That's what we want for so many people who are in toxic connections. And God is working. He's working on all of us in so many different ways. Some of us, there's the breakup that's happening with the workplace. Others, it's dealing with children and grandchildren. There are those in the network that's dealing with disconnecting from elderly parents, and others who are disconnecting from childhood sweethearts because they're no longer sweet. So it's a lot going on, and we just put everybody's burdens into God's hands in Jesus' mighty name. And we trust and believe in him, because he is, once again, the one who knows the desires of our heart. We don't at times, because we're so caught up in our emotional, physical, spiritual, financial situations. But God knows. And keep praying, keep fasting. For those of you all who have given up some of your favorite meals, favorite drinks, and you've just want to spend this time honoring the one true God and looking for direction for your life, keep doing it. God is with you every step of the way. And blessings to you. For those individuals who feel so moved to give to this channel, thank you. Your support is appreciated. I do pay individuals to market this channel. We also, of course, pay for internet service. There's also advertising and things that get paid for, and any monies help out with the household responsibilities as well. So thank you, and thank you some more. Blessings to you, and to God be the glory.